I didn't come to Congress to be silent. I came to Congress to be their voice. And my leadership and voice will not be diminished if I am not on this committee for one term. My voice will get louder and stronger, and my leadership will be celebrated around the world as it has been. So take your vote or not. I am here to stay, and I am here to be a voice against harms around the world and advocate for a better world.
Yeah, this is day two. This is day two of committees and business on the House floor. And it's already been wild. So today they voted to remove Ilhan Omar, not from all of her committee assignments, but just from the Foreign Affairs Committee. And we're first going to hear from House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, Republican from California.
She said the American military was equal to Hamas and to Taliban. From a member of the Foreign Affairs. She said Americans only like Israel because it's all about the Benjamins. And 3 years later she said, I didn't know there's a trope when it comes to referring to someone who's Jewish with money. She said on 9/11, as a...
Now people on Twitch, on Twitter, retweeted this clip to Kevin, because Kevin McCarthy tweeted this out on Twitter. Yep. There's Kevin McCarthy saying we cannot allow Soros, Steyer, and Bloomberg to buy this election, with a very unflattering pic of George Soros. So, glass houses and all that shit, right?
The American military was equal to Hamas and to Taliban.
I don't think she said that. I would say she likened certain things that the U.S. military has done. And to be honest with you, Kevin McCarthy, the U.S. military has done a lot worse things than Hamas and the Taliban, just on the sheer size and scope of the U.S. military. We have committed atrocities all over the world. The Taliban and Hamas are pretty localized in their region, you know.
From a member of the Foreign Affairs. She said Americans only like Israel because it's all about the Benjamins. And 3 years later she said, I didn't know there's a trope when it comes to referring to someone who's Jewish with money. She said on 9/11, as a member of Congress, as an individual who's sitting on Foreign Affairs, something happened that day. What does that say to other people around the world? What does that say to somebody else?
No. What she was saying was, why should we, the immigrant community, be held responsible because some people did something? Now, she might not have said it very eloquently, but that was her message. That why should other people be held responsible for the actions of others? So McCarthy has completely misrepresented everything he has said.
Who wants to create another 9/11 America. I'm sorry. It's not right. We were right in our action, and she can serve on other committees. But it puts America in jeopardy, and I'm not going to do that under my watch. And it's fair in the process, unlike them.
Wow.
The military was...
Fuck you, Kevin McCarthy. Let's hear the supposed statements read into the record on the floor of the House.
At this time, I would yield 6 minutes to Max Miller from the great state of Ohio.
The gentleman is recognized for 6 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the gentleman from Mississippi for yielding. Mr. Speaker, the House Committee on Foreign Affairs has broad jurisdiction over national security and foreign policy, peacekeeping and peace enforcement, international law, and the promotion of democracy, and many other critical issues that require its members to be both objective and credible. Members of the Committee on Foreign Affairs represent the United States abroad and are regarded as credible emissaries of American foreign policy. Their words have significant weight in guiding our relations with other countries and are relied upon by world leaders. Most importantly, our allies, such as Israel, the forever home of the Jewish people. But what happens when a committee member is no longer viewed as a credible emissary?
Well, I'm glad the Jewish people found their forever home. They had been in a shelter for far too long.
Of our foreign policy. What if a member is barred from visiting one of our allies because of their prejudiced comments? How can members who are unable to engage with our allies in a constructive manner be considered credible members of the committee? Well, the gentlelady's discriminatory comments disqualified her from traveling to Israel in 2019. Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, would not allow Representative Omar to enter, saying, "We respect all political parties in the United States equally. However, we will also respect ourselves. Whoever comes to impose boycotts on us and to deny the legitimacy of the State of Israel, we will not allow them entry." Yes, the gentle lady disqualified herself.
Netanyahu is a piece of shit,
one of the
though.
most important countries.
A corrupt far-right politician in Israel.
Over the past 75 years, Israel has been a steadfast ally of the United States. Israel has stood by us through the volatility in the Middle East, and this alliance has been critical to our own national security. How can someone not welcomed by one of our most important allies serve as an emissary of American foreign policy on the Foreign Affairs Committee? And given her biased comments against Israel and against the Jewish people, how can she serve as an objective decision maker on the committee?
Oh, wait. You have to be objective to be on these committees? I didn't know that. Not a single one of you fucks are objective.
Comments. In February of 2019, barely more than a month after becoming a member of this body, Representative Omar suggested that the Jewish people and the American Israel Public Affairs Committee were buying political support, writing on Twitter, "It's all about the Benjamins, baby," clearly amplifying an anti-Semitic stereotype about the Jewish people and money. In response, congressional Democratic leadership, her own party, immediately released a statement by saying, "Anti-Semitism must be called out, confronted, and condemned wherever it is encountered without exception." Not long after Representative Omar trivialized the terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001, by describing that day of infamy as "some people did something." That's horrific. Some people did something. Yes, Mr. Speaker, some people did do something. Some people committed evil acts of terrorism and killed nearly 3,000 Americans. And
I love it. Like, I fucking love right-wingers. They always love to take everything out of context. Exactly. How much out of context quote capturing can we do? Just fucking 4 words. 4 words without the rest of everything around it. Jesus Christ.
Our fellow citizens, myself included, enlisted in our armed forces to defend the gentlelady's right to make her prejudiced remarks. Many went off to combat and even died to defend that right. But they did not die fighting to have their bravery and love of country undermined by a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Mr. Speaker,
No, they died for ExxonMobil.
to describe just how utterly
in-
unacceptable these comments are. But that's not all. In 2021, the gentlelady
BP.
referred to Israel, which has the absolute right to defend
I was getting ready to say,
itself
like,
against terrorism and attacks on its
Unicoi or whatever that fucking company is, but it doesn't exist anymore, I don't
She
think.
even equated the United States and Israel, countries that have stood as beacons of democracy, to the Taliban and Hamas, organizations that impose terror on their regions in the world. Once again, even her Democrat colleagues swiftly condemned her comment. 12 Democrat members of this body released a statement which noted, equating the United States and Israel to Hamas and the Taliban is as offensive as it is misguided, ignoring the differences between democracies governed by the rule of law and contemptible organizations that engage in terrorism, at best discredits one intended argument and at worst reflects deep-seated prejudice from her own party. Some have decried this effort as a political game. Mr. Speaker, I assure you this is no political game. This resolution is not about engaging in a tit-for-tat with my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. This is about keeping someone with a long record of anti-Semitic and anti-Israel bias off the Foreign Affairs Committee, which needs objective emissaries for our foreign policy. Even the Democrat former chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Eliot Engel, said that Representative Omar's
fuck Elliot
anti-Semitic
Engel.
comments have no place in the Foreign Affairs Committee or the House of Representatives. That was in addition to the previously mentioned joint statement from 12 of the gentlelady's Democrat colleagues.
We yeeted Engel.
The facts are clear. Representative Omar has espoused anti-Semitic and anti-Israel rhetoric time and again. She cannot be an objective contributor to the work of the committee, and she has brought dishonor to the House of Representatives. This body, this committee, which is viewed by nations around the world as speaking for Congress on matters of international importance and national security, should not have a seat for a member who would bring such dishonor to that committee. I encourage all of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to support this resolution, to say with one voice that the United States House of Representatives does not condone hate, and to reaffirm we will always
Odd because Engel has no place in the House.
Thank
Exactly.
you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
But you know what? I would not be doing my job if I didn't let you hear from Congressman Omar herself. See what she had to say about it on the floor of the House today. It was ahead of the vote. This is before the vote actually took place. Take it away, Representative Omar.
Palestinians do we have to have to be counted as Americans? This is what this debate is about, Madam Speaker. There is this idea that you are a suspect if you are an immigrant, or if you are from certain parts of the world, or a certain skin tone, or a Muslim. It is no accident that members of the Republican Party accused the first Black president, Barack Obama, of being a secret Muslim. It is no accident that former President Donald Trump led a birther movement that falsely claimed he was born in Kenya. Because to them, falsely labeling the first and only President of the United States of America a Muslim and African immigrant somehow made him less American. Well, I am Muslim. I am an immigrant, and interestingly, from Africa. Is anyone surprised that I am being targeted? Is anyone surprised that I am somehow deemed unworthy to speak about American foreign policy?
Mox, you are correct. She is a great public speaker, and that was one of the things that was going through my mind, is how extraordinary women, people of color, have to be to get to these highest echelons of government, to play in the big leagues. But yet we can see just fucking mediocre white men, like represented by the Republican Party that we heard from just a second ago, just fucking, they have nothing. They have nothing to offer. They're milk toast. But in order for a person of color, for a woman, someone who is from a marginalized community to succeed, they have to be extraordinary. Just like Obama. In order to be the first black or half black or whatever, the first president that had some color to him, he had to be squeaky clean. He had to be an amazing public speaker. He had to have just this fucking, the most awesome resume you could ask for, a constitutional Harvard law professor. And they still demonized him. Yet assholes like George W. Bush, as mediocre as they come, that has cruised on his family fucking name and on his fortune, gets to just fucking piss all over everything. It is bullshit.
Or that they see me as a powerful voice that needs to be silenced. Frankly, it is expected, because when you push power, power pushes back. Representation matters. Continuing to expand our ideas of who is American and who can partake in the American experiment is a good thing. I am an American who was sent here, by her constituents to represent them in Congress, a refugee who survived the horrors of a civil war, someone who spent her childhood in a refugee camp, someone who knows what it means to have a shot at a better life here in the United States, and someone who believes in the American dream and the American possibility and the promise and the ability to participate in the democratic process. That is what this debate is about. There is an idea out there that I do not have objective decision making because of who I am, where I come from, and my perspective. But I reject that. We say there is nothing objective about policymaking. We all inject our perspective, our point of views, our lived experiences, and the voices of our constituents. That's what democracy is about. So what is the work of the Foreign Affairs Committee? It is not to co-sign the stated foreign policy of whatever administration is in power. It's about oversight. It's to critique and to advocate for a better path forward. But most importantly, it is to make the myth that American foreign policy is intrinsically moral a reality. So I will continue to speak up because representation matters. I will continue to speak up for little kids who wonder who's speaking. I will continue to speak up for families around the world who are seeking justice. Whether they are displaced in refugee camps or they are hiding under their beds somewhere like I was, waiting for the bullets to stop. Because this child, survivor of war, would have wanted that. The 9-year-old me would be disappointed if I didn't talk about the victims of conflict, those that are experiencing unjust wars, atrocities, ethnic cleansing, occupation, or displacement like I did. They are looking to the international community and the United States, asking for help. They look to us because the international community and the United States profess the values of protecting human rights and upholding international law. So we owe it to them not to make this a myth, but a reality. I didn't come to Congress to be silent. I came to Congress to be their voice. And my leadership and voice will not be diminished if I am not on this committee for one term. My voice will get louder and stronger, and my leadership will be celebrated around the world as it has been. So take your vote or not. I am here to stay, and I am here to be a voice against harms around the world and advocate for a better world. I yield back.
Boom. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Republicans. One more quick thing before we move off of Ilhan Omar and the vote to remove her from the Foreign Affairs Committee. We would have to be we have to acknowledge, you know, one of the most powerful Jewish Republicans in Congress and what he has to say about the matter. One Mr. George Santos.
Mr. Speaker, today I rise to congratulate my colleagues on voting to remove Representative Ilhan Omar from the Foreign Affairs Committee. The passage of H.R. 76 sends a strong message that we support Israel and the Jewish community. I urge the 118th Congress to now stand together, proudly upholding every single American, no matter race, pedigree, religion, nor creed, as any less American than their neighbor. That Jewish Americans are patriotic Americans, and that we all have a role in fighting bigotry and anti-Semitism in our country. We must make sure that the House of Representatives reflects such principles as a united body. I yield back.
Gotta fight the anti-Semitism and the bigotry, says the man who made Holocaust jokes. Yeah. Be a woman of color. Be a woman, to be a minority group of any kind. To make it in the highest echelons of our government, you have to be an extraordinary individual. To make it on the Republican side, You can be George Santos. Irate Lump, good evening. Buddha Bean, good evening. Tones, I think you snuck in here and I didn't get to say hey to you. Kikyo, love you guys. Yes, the whole reason of supporting Israel is because the Christians here in the United States thinks that makes Jeebus come back. I am not fucking joking. And that's another thing, like, you know, breaking it down on the policy and everything and why politics are the way they are, that's what I do here on the show. But when it all boils down to it, the United States position on Israel is simply because a bunch of Christians in this fucking country want the end of the world to happen, and they think Israel being a country brings about the return of Jeebus. And that is scary as fuck. And that is the reason why we send billions of dollars to Israel to allow them to operate this apartheid state.